and it's
Welcome.
Friday, and it's the last Friday of the month. I can't believe it. It's almost March. Wow, this year is just flying by like last year. So scared tomorrow we are going to wake up and it's going to be Christmas again. No, it's not going to feel like last year. It's a much better year, but yes, it's flying by. So anyway, thank you so much everyone for joining us. My name is Fledglings. I'm the Sustainability Manager with the City of Miami Beach. Here today with our team, we have Yanni Pineda.
Hi everyone, I'm Yanni. I'm the Senior Sustainability Coordinator with the city. Welcome.
Yay. And we have Alicia.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
All right, and thank you for joining us, guys. So I see here we're already getting some folks joining in, some participants coming in. If you're joining us from Facebook Live, you can go to MB Rising Above /Sustainachella and join on Zoom, because then you can see more of the action, what's happening. You can join the chat, you can ask questions in the Q&A. So please feel free to join us on Zoom. That's where actually all the action happens. So we're going to start warming up the chat a little bit, and let's see what's happening here in the chat. Hey Lisa, hi Jaden, Michelle, how are you guys doing? Who else is there? Say hi. And we have some questions for you guys. Well, first of all, yeah, I guess we can start with the poll questions. What do you think, Yoni?
Yeah, let's start with that. I'm going to send out a poll. We want to learn a little bit about everyone that's here today. There it goes.
So the questions that we have for you today is, where are you joining us from? If you're from Miami Beach, somewhere in Florida, outside of Miami Beach, any other cities in US or another country. I wonder if we have any folks from another country. The other question is if you have ever rescued an injured animal before. Have you guys? Jenny, Alicia?
I have before. It was a bird. I can't remember what it was though, what kind of bird. But I did get to send it, which I mentioned it to Hannah. She'll talk about it a little later. I did end up sending it to the Pelican Harbor Seabird Station in an Uber. So that's an interesting option to have.
Awesome. And I'm sure we will be learning more about it very soon. What about you, Alicia? Any injured, like, have you ever rescued any injured animals before?
I think when I was younger, I did, but it was mostly my grandmother that did the rescuing part.
All right. Yeah, here we recently, actually last year, we rescued squirrel, poor squirrel. He fell out of a tree, and but we took to the Pelican Harbor too. So it's cool that we have Pelican Harbor so close to us. And the last question is if you're familiar with the Pelican Harbor Seabird Station. So yeah, and I think we have a good chunk of responses. So yeah, maybe we can share. The majority of you guys are in Miami Beach. All right, Miami Beach residents, welcome. And then we have some folks in Florida outside of Miami Beach. Where are you guys from? Oh, and here Michelle said, I rescued various baby mockingbirds and baby squirrel. Oh, that's so cute. Thanks, Michelle, for sharing it. So let us know, where are you guys joining us from if you're not from Miami Beach? And the majority of the folks, 75% of the folks today have already rescued an injured animal. That's awesome. And 67% are familiar with the Pelican Harbor bird station. That's awesome. Oh, here we have folks from Miami, Kendall. Awesome, welcome, folks. Thanks for joining us. All right, Annie, you want to do some of the housekeeping?
Sure. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, you'll notice that your microphones are disabled and so are your videos. That's to avoid Zoom bombing. And if you want to ask a question, we highly recommend that you use the Q&A box to make sure that it's not lost in the chat. And if you want to leave any comments to the group or make comments within the chat, please be sure to check off everyone or all panelists and attendees. We really recommend that you try to engage with everyone, let us know what you guys think. And we'd love your feedback. So please be sure to use the chat. And now we'll move on to Hannah.
All right, and now our special guest, Hannah, with the Pelican Harbor.
Hi, everybody.
Yay! Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you joining us, Hannah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I also see that we have Carolina Labro from Fort Lauderdale that is actually volunteering for Pelican Harbor. So we have another expert in the crowd here today. Thanks for joining us, Carolina. Awesome. All right. So Hannah, we'll let you share your screen right now so you can start your presentation.
Okay.
And you guys will see Hannah has some surprises for us today. I'm so excited.
All right.
Yeah.
All good?
On it. Thank you. Good to
Okay,
go.
so, hi, everybody. Welcome. Like said, my name is Hannah Mcdougall. I'm the Rescue and Release Coordinator here at Pelican Harbor, and super excited to be here with you guys and teaching you a little more about the wildlife in Miami and what you guys can do to help. So a little bit about us. We are actually over 40 years old. These are our founders on the left, Harry and Darlene Kelton. They found a pelican when they were living in the marina on their houseboat, started helping. In 1990, we were actually fully incorporated and began renting property from the city of Miami. And here we are over 40 years later. We've treated thousands and thousands of birds, over I think 150 or 200 different species. And last year alone, over 2,000 animals were treated. So we're getting a lot busier than the average of 400 when we first started. So we're only getting bigger, we're growing and able to help more animals every year. So that's our past. And here's our present. So our mission and our vision statement, really just what we try to embody as an organization, rescue and release through innovation, education, outreach. So we try to uphold the highest standards here at Pelican Harbor. So that's our past, present, and here's our future. We have an amazing new property over on the Little River. So we should be beginning to break ground there in about 2 years. So really excited about that. Here's a little site overview. So huge new caging, an expansive area. I think it's about like maybe 10 times bigger than our current facility. So really excited about that. And then I kind of popped over this important slide. So if you can see on all of our kind of our mission statement and all of our information is that we only take native species. So it's always something we want to kind of just touch on. So we don't take any invasives because it is a regulation. There's a law. It's unlawful to import or release anything that's non-native or invasive to Florida. However, if you do happen to find any of these animals, the common ones are Muscovy ducks, the ring-necked doves, pigeons, and iguanas, you can always feel free to still give us a call. We have many, many references for other organizations that will be able to help these animals. So kind of a patient overview of what we went through last year. We had, I think it was a 15 or 20% increase in patients, so busier than ever. And over half of them were brought in by the finders. So that's exciting because it does show that people are willing to help and are able to help. So hopefully we'll be able to bolster that number a little more, get everybody comfortable and knowledgeable about the wildlife in Miami and how to properly help them if you do ever come across an injured animal. Operation Rescue is our in-house transportation volunteer service. So we have an amazing group of about 40 dedicated volunteers that will go out and help respond to rescues for us. And then, as Yanni said, we have Uber. So almost 200 patients came from Uber. Once they're properly contained, and if no one's able to transport them and the finder's unable to transport, we actually call an Uber cargo, and then we watch as the bird is transported to us through the Uber app. And we've had really good success with that. It's great if, something's down in Kendall and nobody has an hour and a half to trek down there. So that's a kind of a fun new innovation in the recent years.
And Hannah, out of those over 2,000 patients, where is the majority? Are the majority birds, squirrels?
So our top 5, we do have squirrels and possums in the top 5. Those are the only 2 mammals that we take. And I feel like I tend to always talk about the birds. seabird station, but a large majority of what we do is also mammals. So we have squirrels, opossums, of course, brown pelicans, and then northern mockingbirds, which are actually the state bird of Florida. They're the little gray guys with the really long tails. They have like white patches on their wings if they're flying. And then blue jays, lots of songbirds and things like that.
What's the weirdest animal, or I guess most unique animal that you guys have received?
Just last year, we admitted our first bald eagle. So I guess it's not strange, but it's very rare. And that was exciting for us to be able to treat that, because that's very uncommon. That was the first time in our history that we treated one. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. So our most common reasons for admission: cat attacks. This is number 2.4 billion birds a year are killed by feral, but also domestic cats. And over 150 patients last year were brought in due to this cause. So the best thing that you guys can do to help with this is just to keep your pets indoors. It helps reduce their exposure to parasite and serious disease. I mean, in addition to helping the birds, there's a lot of benefits for your pet as well. And if you really think that he needs some nice outdoor time, there's always things called catios that you can look into. I know, like, I think Wayfair and Amazon sell little ones or attachments for your windows and things like that. But birds have really, they've been responsible for over 100 extinctions of mammals and birds and rodents and things like that. So it's really important to just try to keep your indoor cats indoor. And then we have hook and line patients, which is common, obviously, in Miami. It's a huge fishing area. So 60 patients last year were brought in due to this. And what people can do is, all over Miami Beach, there's these marked receptacles for you to properly dispose of your hooks and lines and things. In addition to that, one thing that people don't often think of is, I think hopefully everybody knows not to feed fish to birds on the dock. But even inadvertently, if you're just filleting your fish and kind of just throwing the scraps over and they happen to be eating them, that's still really not good. One, because it makes them used to being around people. They know, oh, like this dock, I always get fish over here. Like, let me hang around here. So that makes them more susceptible just being in the area with hooks and people and line and things like that. But further from that is the actual fish carcasses. A lot of times are way too big. They're bigger than the pelican's natural prey. So they'll get stuck in their throat. So they're unable to swallow them. And the barbs of the fish make it so that they're unable to throw them up either. So they can't get rid of it. They can't take it in. So it ends up just sitting there. And we've admitted dozens and dozens of these patients that have just been swallowing fish carcasses after they were filleted. So our advice would just be to keep it in your cooler, dispose of it in the trash when you get home, or, you know, in the parking lot dumpster, just not over into the actual water. And then if you ever do happen to hook a seabird, which sometimes it happens, it's important to not cut the line. If that seabird has ingested the hook and you cut the line, then it's going to fly away with that line dangling. He can get entangled, and the hook itself is going to be in its stomach, potentially causing severe harm and injury. So we always suggest is to gently reel the animal in. And if you have a net or something that you can use to scoop it out, and then immediately call a local wildlife rehabilitator so we can take a look. And even if it's just hooked kind of superficially, sometimes people think like, all right, you know, I'll just cut it out, it should be fine. But even then, you don't know if the hook is near any arteries or any important structures, how deep it is in the flesh, if it's going to get infected afterwards. So basically, anytime that there's an interaction with hook or line or anything of that sort, we recommend that it always comes into us for care. Next cause is window strikes. So usually in the winter time, it's when the migrant songbirds are migrating down south. So you can see on the left here that any kind of glass at the right time of day, at the right angle, is going to have just basically look like a mirror rather than glass. It's going to be completely reflective, and it's going to be reflecting whatever is around it, which is usually trees and sky, which is where birds want to go. They want to land in a tree or they want to keep flying. So over 100 patients last year came in due to head trauma due to window collisions, and 1 billion birds annually, that's just in the US, die from window collisions. I think it's another 500,000 in Canada and elsewhere. So it's a really bad problem. But there's a lot of easy things that people can do to help prevent this just in their homes or their businesses. You can see on the top in the middle, just very thin string can be placed over your windows to kind of act as an initial barrier so they don't actually hit the glass. On the top right, there's UV decals that you can buy online, but we also sell on our website that are very kind of clear, see-through, decorative for us, but for the birds, they're like shining beacons because they reflect the UV that we can't really see with our eyes, but they can see it, so they know to avoid that area. And the same thing for the Sharpie on the bottom left. You draw small little circles or X's. The Sharpie also kind of picks up on the UV light, but that doesn't last as long as the decals. I think the decals just are a forever type thing. The Sharpie is like every 2 weeks, you might have to kind of Windex it and then redo. And then also the reflective scare tape, anything like that, or CDs, or there's other kinds of things that you can find online that detract birds from being near your windows or things like that.
And Hannah, is this for like everywhere, like small homes, like buildings, any type of window? Like everywhere there is a risk, right? Like even in my little house, I should be concerned about that and maybe put some stickers in my window.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of times, you know, it's small single family homes and it's this bird fell into my, or, you know, hit my patio window. It's not always, you know, the huge skyscrapers like that. A lot of times it is just homes and things like that, because that's where the birds are traveling. It's in the trees and the bushes to eat. And then, so they're kind of flitting around pretty low. And then this time of year we call baby season because it's when all of the birds and the mammals and things like that are having their babies. So a very, very large number of our patients come in due to being orphaned. And then I have this little, or are they, because 60 are kidnapped, which means that they actually didn't have to come in, that their parents were around or they didn't actually need care. But a good Samaritan was just trying to do the good thing and maybe just didn't realize that. So they were brought into us. So that's why we always say that you should call us before you attempt to rescue or contain a wild animal, not only for yourself, for your safety, but for the safety of the animal and just to ensure that the animal even needs help. So here's our wildlife hotline number if anyone wants to take that down. It's going to be listed a couple more times in the presentation. But in the next slides, I'm going to show you guys how to determine if it is actually an orphan or if it needs help or if it's able to be reunited with its parents. And of course, always call us when unsure, but you can kind of follow this little flow chart here. So anytime anything is obviously sick or injured, you know, you can bring it right in. It doesn't matter if the parents are there. If it has a broken wing, then it's going to need some care. But beyond that, there's different ways to kind of establish if it's a nestling, which is the birds over on the left. They don't really have any feathers. They wouldn't be able to fly or fend for themselves. And on the right here, we have fledglings. So those are the ones that are hopping around. They can't actually fly yet, but their parents are around to protect them and teach them over the course of a couple days. And they look like little babies and they look helpless and that like they need help, but these are the vast majority of the birds that are bird napped for us because they look like they need help, but when in reality it's just part of their natural life cycle and how they learn to grow up. And here's an important point on always calling Pelican Harbor beforehand because a lot of these guys look exactly the same and we don't always take all of them. So only one of these birds is a native bird that we would be legally able to take, which is the top right. That is a mourning dove. All the other ones are non-natives. So we have a collared dove, a white-winged dove, and a pigeon. So always tricky, and that's why when you call us, you can send us a picture. We have a cell phone, really easy. We have people on 9 to 5 answer your questions within a couple minutes. Really, really good timing and receptiveness. So send us a picture and we'll always help you out. And same goes for baby squirrels. Baby squirrels, injured, sick, anything like that, immediately bring it in. And it says here, if it's covered in fly eggs, bring it in, but people don't usually know what that means or what that looks like. So on the bottom there, fly eggs just look like tiny grains of rice. If you ever come across that, it means that something's been down long enough that it can't take care of itself, or if it's a baby, its mother's not able to take care of it and groom it and keep flies and parasites and things off of it. But otherwise, a lot of times, a baby will fall out or there's a big heavy wind, and the mom is around looking for it. So as long as you keep the baby warm, and you put it in a little box and you kind of step away at a safe distance, the mom can actually come down, grab the baby by its scruff, and then take it back up into the tree. But again, these are all things that if you call us, we'll be able to walk you through and determine what the right course of action is on a case-by-case basis. So here's your kind of rescue toolkit if you'd like to preemptively, it seems like a lot of people have actually encountered injured wildlife already. So I think it's pretty common. If you ever want to just keep some stuff in your car, cardboard box, I would think everybody has one from Amazon, an old towel, same thing. And then if you get you can get heavy gloves and a net from Amazon. I think both of these are less than $20 if you want to just look into that. Heavy gloves, they're welding gloves actually, but they're made of leather, which just offers more protection between you and the animal if it happens to be something kind of bigger and a little less or more scary than a baby squirrel. And then just knowing the rabies vector species, that's another thing about our clinic is we don't treat rabies vectors. So it's something if you were to call us, we would refer you elsewhere to other organizations. But just for your own, I guess, safety and your future knowledge, birds have zero rabies risk. They cannot get rabies. And then the two species of mammals that we care for also cannot get rabies, the squirrels and opossums. And I say cannot get rabies. Opossums, it's such a negligible that it's not even worth talking about. Things like 0.0000 trails off. So that's why we just say that they're low risk, but it's zero. So there will be no risk for rabbits or squirrels or possums, anything like that. So if you do come across an animal and you've called us, we've talked you through it. Yes, this animal needs help, and you need to get into a box. You need some sort of plan in order to help it. So you're going to look around and you're going to make sure that you have a box. And if you have a box, you want to make sure the animal is going to be able to breathe once it's in that box. So poke holes beforehand. You don't want to be putting, a stressed animal in there and then poking a pen or a knife around it. And then look for anyone to help. If you're the finder, maybe, ask a friendly stranger. Maybe you have a friend, or if you come across someone else that needs help. It's always easier. The more people, the easier it is. And then just look to make sure of any obvious injuries that would further injure the animal or yourself. If it has a big, sharp hook, you want to be aware of that. So if you are trying to contain it or help it, that you don't also get injured in the process. And then to make sure you can immediately provide transportation. So this is where Uber comes into play. Say you're working and you rescue this bird and that's all you can do. You have it in a box and you can't immediately transport it. We'll always be able to immediately transport it for you. We'll just call an Uber. You'll give us your location. The Uber gets sent, easy peasy, and that's completely covered by us. We of course take donations, but we take care of the whole thing. You just give us the location and your name, and then we'll send the Uber for you. And then actually enacting your plan. So like I said before, just observe around you, observe the animal, think about what you're going to do beforehand rather than just kind of jumping into it. And then if you're able to herd an animal into a corner or against a fence or a wall, anything like that makes it a lot easier. Less directions for it to move means easier catching for you. But on that note, you want to avoid chasing it as much as possible. So as quickly as possible to contain the animal and get it taken care of, because they do suffer from something called capture myopathy, wild animals particularly. And there's a very fancy scientific explanation there in the middle. But essentially what it is extended periods of stress where they're in the fight or flight mode. Their body basically expels all of those chemicals until they don't have, there's no more room for any fight or flight. And all those chemicals acidify the blood, reducing cardiac function, and essentially just the muscle begins to break down. And that's a very common cause of death, unfortunately, for wild animals, is the fact that they're down for so long and injured and unable to either fight or fly, get away. They're in that extended period of stress for so long that their bodies just can't handle all of that stress. So yes, I think we have a question.
I think we are good. I think we are going to be leaving some of the questions towards the end,
Okay.
Hannah.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's better.
Okay. So yeah, that's why it's important to really just be quick and efficient about it. And on this note, the same thing occurs when someone tries to pet or coddle or coo or comfort a wild animal. So wild animals are not like dogs. They don't, they don't receive any comfort from a pet. It's actually the exact opposite. So anything that's bigger than them or foreign to them is basically a predator that wants to kill and eat them. So if you're sitting there, petting this owl and it's okay, calming it down, as much as, as good as your intentions are and as much as you want to help that animal, it's actually doing the complete opposite effect of what you want to do. It's raising that stress, it's increasing those chemicals. So anytime you capture or are attempting to capture or are transporting, we always say to keep it in a dark, quiet box. Don't peek at it, don't be taking pictures or selfies or petting or anything like that. So just leave it alone, dark, quiet, and as calm as it can be. So how do you actually grab
no music, right? No reggae, no.
And no music, exactly. So not even no Mozart, because to them it's anything foreign. Like they're not out in the wild, listening to Symphony No. 5. So it's foreign. So if you could keep it quiet in your car while you're transporting, that's the absolute best option. Because again, music is stressful, and stress is a killer for wildlife. But actually grabbing it. So a lot of times the things that people rescue, one of the big causes of admission are also just weakness. Like, well, what's wrong with it? It's like, it's just sick, it's sick, it's weak, it's kind of down and out. There's not always a reason, it's not, they have this, they don't have a disease or anything. They're just kind of down and out. But unfortunately for them, when they're down and out, they can't just run to the fridge and, take a day off from work and hang out. Like if they're down and out, they can't eat. If they can't eat, they get weak. When they're weak, they can't eat. And it's just a huge cycle. So a lot of times it's just weakness due to some unknown cause. So very easy to grab. You can just kind of throw a towel, scoop it up like a football, put it into the box. So the majority of the time it's a little baby that's easy to pick up, or it's a pretty weak animal that should be just kind of intuitive on how to just scoop it up. But pelicans aren't as intuitive if they're very weak. People are usually pretty intimidated to try to pick up a pelican, but they're not that scary. They're very, very light. They only weigh a couple pounds. They have a meaner, I guess, disposition than they actually are. They'll try to snap at you, but they don't have teeth or anything like that. So if you ever are trying to catch a pelican, you just kind of quickly grab its beak right before its eyes and then scoop it up. We always say like a football, but it really is just scoop it up and against your body like a football, and then get it into that big box or carrier. So avoiding the pointy bits is always important here. So you'll have already called our staff by this point. We'll have told you the kind of species that it is and any kind of considerations for when you might want to be handling it. But just for prior knowledge here is herons and egrets and anhingas, like you see on the left. Any seabird with a really long neck and really sharp beak, their first instinct is going to be to use that beak, to use that head. So they're going to be striking. And then we have our raptors on the right. And their first instinct is their talons. Even though, they have those huge pointy beaks, like the tips are real sharp, for some reason they go right for their feet first. So they'll go onto their back and they'll put their talons up. So each of those have different considerations, so different kind of ways to hold them to avoid injury to yourself, but also to the animal. So for raptors, like I said, you're always worrying about their feet first. So you can use your towel, and this is when gloves would be handy if you have them, but usually towels are so thick that they'll just kind of grab onto the towel and there's no real risk of injury to you. But you want to grab it and make sure that the feet are somewhat, they're wrapped up in that towel and unable to get you, or if you can, if it's weak enough and you can hold the feet themselves while you put it into the box, that'd be the best. Also to just kind of avoid that stress, avoid them struggling or trying to get out of your grip.
And Hannah, quick question. Since I see some action here in the chat. What do you do if you're trying to save, like, for example, a baby bird and then mama bird comes in and trying to attack you?
So that does happen occasionally. We suggest an umbrella in that case. An umbrella and then just in and out.
Got it. Thanks.
And then for the seabirds, how I said, the beak. So they're gonna wanna strike at you, and you can see they have this S-shaped neck that they can kind of hold like this when they're at rest, and then stick out when they're trying to, you know, defend themselves. So same thing, if you throw a towel over it, or a t-shirt, or a blanket, or anything, you know, it doesn't have to be a towel, just some sort of protection between you and the animal. And then kind of contain that head while you're picking it up and putting it into your box. And then we have our mammals. So if we have an adult, not so snuggly baby opossum, obviously the squirrels and the opossums are the ones that are going to try to bite you. They don't have any talons or anything, you know, sharp like that. So with the towel, if you just grab it, kind of like you would pick up a dog, and then put it into the box with possums. I'm not sure where this myth came from. It's just been perpetuated in cartoons and movies. Possums cannot hang from their tails. Their tails are prehensile, meaning that they assist them in climbing, and they can use it kind of as like a fifth leg to support, but it really injures them if they put their entire weight on their tail. So if you're ever trying to pick up a possum, always grab it by its body and not by its tail to prevent further injury. So here's kind of our simple do's and don'ts overall. We don't want to tape the beak shut. This has happened a couple of times in the past. It's, you know, this bird's trying to bite me, or this bird is too active, or I don't know the reasoning. But birds breathe out of their mouth a lot of times when they're stressed. So if you tape that beak shut, it can't breathe and it will die. So please don't do that. Like I said, don't try to remove the hooks or line, could lead to further injury. You also don't know if there's anything internal, even if you externally hook something, it could easily have, you know, we see that very often that something comes in tangled in line. And then once we do an x-ray, we see, oh, it also has, you know, 3 hooks in its stomach. Don't give food or water. This is a really, really big one. That again, it's always good intentions, you know. But good intentions don't always yield the best, you know, results or outcomes. So I guess this is another analogy I like to use is if you're hurt, you know, and you're on your way to the hospital, the ambulance driver is never going to say like, we should make a stop at McDonald's. She's probably hungry, like that, you know, this is what she needs right now. Like, no, she needs to get to the hospital. I don't need McDonald's. I'm probably in pain. I probably don't really want McDonald's. So one, it's that once you get to the hospital here, a lot of times we're going to want to do x-rays, and if there's any sort of food or water in its stomach, that increases the risk of aspiration, which is potentially deadly and just leads to many more complications. And on top of that, a lot of times the diet isn't exact, or, you know, I guess relevant, I don't know the word for it, not good for the species. Bread, another kind of perpetuated myth is that birds love bread, and birds might eat bread, but bread is like the worst thing that you can give a bird. It has 0 nutritional value, but it's very, very filling. So a bird will sit there, eat up a bunch of bread, be very full, not get any nutrients from it, but then therefore not eat any other food because it's full and it doesn't want to eat any other food. So that cycle just kind of continues, and it's easy, it's accessible, it fills me up, I'm just going to eat it. So then over time they develop something called metabolic bone disease, which is due to lack of proper nutrition. So it can be really, really detrimental for them. So if you ever do, you know, if you have ducks in your neighborhood, I know a lot of people like to feed the ducks or things like that. Like corn or vegetables is always a better option. But that's only for ducks, because you cannot feed any native wildlife ever. But I know lots of people feed the ducks. So if you're trying to feed your muscovies or something, never, ever bread. And then same for any injured animal. if you're trying to, if it's so weak it can't hold its head up, or it can't, you know, fly or anything like that, and you're trying to give it some water, that's another risk for aspiration. So if I'm sitting there, you know, I'm so weak, I just got in a car crash, like you can't just pour water down my throat. Like I need to, you know, I need to get to the hospital and get to the hospital quick. So no food, no water, ever, for anything.
I also want to add that throwing bread into ponds or wherever you see ducks is actually not good for the environment in terms of water quality, because it does end up, you know, growing mold and increase bacteria levels. So just things to consider when feeding wildlife.
Definitely. But yes, it is illegal to feed any native wildlife. So can't do that. So don't touch and pet the animal is what we talked about with the capture myopathy. So important just to always touch on again. Don't play music, don't touch or pet, anything like that. What you do want to do is you always want to call us and send us a picture, kind of give us the lowdown on the situation. We'll be able to further assist you, offer advice or referrals, or, you know, actually recommend that it's totally fine and to leave it alone. To immediately bring to Pelican Harbor. So again, if you're unable to, we'll be able to try to figure out some sort of transportation for you, either via Uber or through our Operation Rescue volunteers that I'd mentioned before. And then once it is contained, move it to a quiet, dark place. So not out on your front porch in the sun where it's going to be, you know, blasted with heat, not in your car where you're kind of raging, listening to some reggae. Quiet and dark to reduce the stress on the animal. And people want to know, okay, well, I like it. I'm interested. How do I help? So we do have an amazing volunteer program. Unfortunately, right now, due to COVID, it is suspended, but you can always visit our website, pelicanharbor.org/volunteer, to be placed on a wait list. There is a $40 application fee, and that covers your beautiful red t-shirt and your background check that were mandated by the county to have. And you can see here is our wonderful volunteer Neil up top. He's feeding our pelicans, and I think there's a booby in there too. And then below him is Helen on a rescue. So she's one of our Operation Rescue volunteers, as well as an outdoor volunteer. So we love our volunteers. They're rock stars. We couldn't do anything we do without volunteers. You can also directly donate, whether it's financially, you can do it through legacy, wills or trusts or things like that. And then we offer some little perks for monthly donors and things like that. We have tickets to cruises, behind the scenes tours and things like that. So it's not always financial too. You know, if you can donate your time through volunteering or donate your expertise, there's all kinds of opportunities and things like that.
And I think Virginia was trying to say something in the chat, and Hannah, I think folks can also donate, kind of donate via Amazon Smile, right? Whenever.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, we also have an Amazon wish list. So you can go directly to our wish list from our website. And if you use Pelican Harbor as the organization on your Amazon Smile, all of your Amazon purchases, we get a small portion of that as a donation. So yes, thank you. And then educate and advocate, you know, share our posts on social media, help get the word out about who we are, what we do, how other people can help. We also speak virtually now, but we do lots of different presentations, classroom presentations, office presentations, anything like that. A lot of times for schools and things. You can adopt an ambassador animal, and this is an honorary adoption. So they stay in our care, but you do get a beautiful, I think it's an 8x12 picture of your animal. You get a copy of their story, and then you're invited to actually come to the station to meet your animal and have an experience with them. It's usually virtual now with COVID, but once we open up and things like that, hopefully we'll be able to do some live, you know, meet and greets with our animals. And speaking of, I have a couple of them here. So let me grab.
Oh my God!
So you'll get to meet them up close and personal right now. So this is Mowgli. Put her in front of me so you can see. She is a female eastern screech owl. So this is, you can see her compared to my hand, very small. This is her full grown. She's an adult. She came to us when she was just a baby. She was attacked by a cat. So you can see that this wing here has a significant droop. So she will never be able to fly again. She'll never be able to fend for herself or hunt in the wild or anything like that. So that's why she's now an ambassador here at Pelican Harbor to help educate people like you guys about her species and again about the importance of keeping your cats indoors. You know,
Hannah, can you stop your presentation so we can put your full screen for folks to better see her?
What's that?
If we can stop your presentation so we can see full screen, I'm sure everybody wants to see it. Or you have to.
There you go. I did it. I went ahead and I did it.
Okay.
All right.
Is that good?
Spotlight.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So cute. Aww.
So there's 5 types of owls in Florida. She's one of them. So we have the screech owls, we have burrowing owls, we have barn owls and barred owls, which sound very similar, and then the great horned owl. So we also have an ambassador great horned owl named Luna, also available for adoption. So if you'd like to adopt and get a chance to meet Mowgli, you can always go onto our website and get yourself an honorary adoption for them.
Aww, I would adopt it. That's so cute.
Oh, now she's getting camera
She's
shy.
but she's calm too. It's impressive.
Yeah,
She's
she's used
posing for
to.
us.
Yeah, so for the most of her life, she's been with us and doing presentations. So she's used to being, on the glove like that. But even with her, you can't pet her. You can't. She's not snuggly. She looks real cute and calm. But we always have to respect their boundaries. They are still wildlife. So.
I love how she winks.
Yeah.
And did you mention tours? I know that in the past, I think you guys did them, but I'm assuming because of COVID and everything, it's not possible at this time.
Yes, unfortunately, we are closed to the public still. We're still, in the process of every day kind of looking at that and gauging when that opening might be. But as of right now, yeah, we don't have an opening date or tours. Things like that. But we do have every Wednesday on Facebook, we do a Wednesday live. So you can get a tour of the facility and we almost always have a release. So it's called Wednesday Live Release on our Facebook account. So you can get a kind of behind the scenes tour then virtually.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to put Mowgli away and then introduce you to another lovely lady.
All right. And Hannah, while you get our next surprise, I think I might start asking you some of the questions we have here. We have a lot of questions in the Q&A. The first one is if you guys release the bald eagle, the one that you mentioned that surprisingly show up there.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was not released. He passed away. Yeah, he had been found. I think he had a tree branch impaled in his back, which had fractured his shoulder, and then he just passed away due to the trauma.
Oh, poor guy. Okay. But yeah, you can get the next our next surprise. I'm so excited. Sorry guys, I'm more excited about the surprise than the Q&A. I promise we'll get there. We'll ask your questions. We're just super excited about the surprises. You guys saw, right? The first one was super cute. So the second one is just going to be as cute. I do see a question here. Where was it? Oh, if we are working on tree canopies to help replace loss of, oh, here you go. She's back.
All right, so you met our lovely bird. Now here's our lovely mammal. This is Basil. She is our Education Virginia possum. You can see this eye over here. She's blind. So she came in as just a wee babe. She was about this big. And this eye injury is congenital. So she was born with it. And possums, in order to properly evade predators and things like that, they need both of their eyes. They need to be fully, sighted with all their peripheral vision. So that's why she's here with us now. but she's a lovely lady. And since she came in so small, she is able to be, held and pet, unlike Mowgli, but she's great and teaches everybody that possums aren't scary. They're not, they don't have rabies. Uh, I think a lot of people are scared. They have possums in their yard and they don't like possums. So we're trying to change that perception of possums. They're actually fantastic for the environment. They eat thousands and thousands of ticks every year. They're kind of nature's cleanup crew. So they'll eat anything from, plants and ticks and kind of decaying things. So they help clean up your yard. They keep you tick free. And they can't get rabies.
She's adorable.
Very adorable.
And Basil is also, does she participate on workshops? I remember you guys have a program like that. Folks wanted her to participate. It wasn't like,
Yeah. So you can, we can Zoom with Basil. She can kind of pop into your meeting or your classroom or things like that. So we offer presentations for kind of a virtual meet and greet with her. And she's nocturnal, so that's why I think she's trying to get sleepy and go to sleep.
I'm curious about how old she is. I saw the email you sent about the other possum that the facility had passed away. I didn't realize that they didn't live very long.
Yeah, so unfortunately, they do have a pretty short lifespan, especially for a mammal. In the wild, they only live to be around 2 years old, and in captivity, that number is closer to 3. So Basil here is a year and a half, and she's beautiful and healthy and living every day. So yeah, they don't have a very long lifespan, but she lives a good life here.
Can she stay with you while we ask questions, or you want to put her away? It's up to you. You guys seem
She can stay. Yeah,
you guys. I think everybody.
Unless she gets a little restless. Yeah.
So one of the questions we have here: if a bird does strike my window and seems to be okay, is it a good idea to let it go, or should I still bring it in?
That's a great question. So we usually recommend you wait about 15 minutes to a half hour, because sometimes it's not necessarily trauma. It's just kind of stunned. It's like, oh my gosh, like what just happened to me? So they kind of take a second to get their wits about them again, and then they will fly off. If it's anything longer than a half hour, then we do recommend they come in so they can be treated for some sort of trauma.
Awesome. The other one we have, Allison tried to find the window decals on your website but couldn't see them. Can you help?
They should be under shop. I'm not sure. They should still be up there. Otherwise, they can be found on Amazon. Just bird window decal, UV. I think it's UV bird window decal, something of that sort. You should.
And I see Kiki is also on the chat, so maybe Kiki can help with that one too. Yeah. The next one: what happens when someone drops off an invasive? Are there other facilities that would take invasive?
There are, yes. So we have worked. There's a very large network of not only rehabilitation centers, but volunteer groups and things like that. A lot of times they are just individuals. We have one woman, I think she's up in Davie, and all she does is Muscovy ducks. So a lot of times it is small, kind of, one-man mom and pop organizations, but we have lots of places to refer you for those animals to go.
Awesome. Folks have asked how they joined the rescue operation to volunteer, which you covered that, and Kiki also covered in the chat. Do you take in red-eared slider?
We do not. So red-eared sliders are also invasive to Florida. So that would be one of the species that we would refer out.
Okay. And then Evelyn's asking, how can you make your yard cat unfriendly other than getting a dog so that birds and other wildlife are safe?
Unfortunately, besides an entire enclosed lanai, I don't think that there's anything to keep, if cats are out there, they'll scale fences or trees and things like that. So it kind of comes down to education and personal responsibility of others, and just kind of hoping that eventually that's the just the idea is to keep your cats inside.
Maybe a motion sensor water sprinkler system.
There you go. Yeah. That's ingenuity.
It's a very good one, yeah. But please, let's not waste water and energy, guys.
Yeah.
Also cats. Let's balance. And Hannah, I don't know if you have any other slides because for us to go through.
Let's see. Okay. We'll put you down now. Everybody say goodbye to Basil.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh. And while we get Hannah back on the presentation, Karen, I know you were asking about tree canopy. Before we end the presentation today, I'm going to talk about our Urban Forestry Master Plan workshop that is happening next week. Please attend that workshop. We are going to be talking about tree canopies right there. So if you're interested, next week, Tuesday. But Hannah, we are all yours.
All right. So just a couple last things, some other nice pictures and shout outs and things. These are one of the 2 brown pelicans that we released last week on Miami Beach. And I think somewhere like 13% of all of our patients come from Miami Beach. So a good chunk considering how big Miami-Dade is. And then we also released this beautiful royal tern.
Your presentation's not showing.
Oh, it's not.
Share screen again.
And let us know if you need us to share,
Oh,
Hannah.
no.
Because we are starting to get out of time. So we'll have to
Okay.
sprint out there, please.
Okay, good. No? No?
We can see it now, yeah.
Okay. So just some beautiful releases here. We love to partner with you guys, help each other out. We've done quite a few releases at Maurice Gibbs with Mayor Gilburn. And this is another guy, Clean Miami Beach had found him and released him back. So that was an exciting kind of full circle release there for him. And if you guys want to keep updated with us and get involved and be in the know, here's all of our social media accounts. We post pretty frequently, post some pretty cute stuff. So if you want your daily dose of cute little baby animals and things, you can always check us out. And like I said, on Wednesdays, we always do our Wednesday live release.
And another thing that I found interesting that you mentioned, Hannah, is that if you do find an animal, you are able to follow up with the facility to see where it stands, what happens to it, and if it is a bird, I think you're able to join the releases, right?
It's somewhat limited now due to COVID, but we always take the finder's request into consideration. And along those lines of, you can always call in. Every single patient has its own patient number. So they're all attached to a number, which is really easy to go in and see its whole chart. Something else I just forgot to mention though, is that we also have 24-hour drop-off containers. So we're only open 9 to 5. We're open every day 9 to 5. If you happen to find an animal or contain it and can't bring it in on time, there are cages outside that are available 24 hours a day that as soon as we come in at 9 a.m., that's the first guys we're going to look at and treat. So there's 24-hour options for dropping off animals to us.
And I also wanted to highlight that another great way to also help the station is by donating certain items. I know that we have someone in the attendee list right now, Lauren Fertel, who actually donated furs from that belonged to her grandmother to the facility for them to be able to use with the animals that they have there. So just things to consider. That's another option if you want to help.
Always need towels and sheets and things like that. Yeah, so.
Awesome. And Hannah, are we good with the slides? Can we start moving to Kahoot now?
That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. We really appreciate it. That was an amazing presentation.
Yeah, so glad to partner with you guys.
Yeah, we're super excited. And the Pelican Harbor is part of our environmental grant. The city does support the work that they're doing. And of course, we are thrilled to be their partner. So thank you again. Thank you so much. And stay there because I have a feeling there might be some other questions for you. So Yanni, are you ready for Kahoot? And while we are transitioning to Kahoot, do you want to call Lauren in, Yanni?
I think I covered what Lauren did. I don't know, Lauren, do you want to say anything else on it? I can give you a chance to speak. Give me a second.
Here, I got her.
You want to do it for her? Okay, just in case she wants to say, because I know she's been involved with the station.
Hi there.
Here we go. We can hear you.
Hi,
It's kind of weird. I was going to promote you as a panelist, but I guess I promote you to talk, so we can only hear you.
That's okay. No,
All
thank
right.
you for the shout out, Yanni. I just was trying to, I work for the city's communications department, for those of you that are listening, but this is actually a cause I support personally. I grew up in Miami Beach, so I've known about this since they started. They do great work for the community. I guess Yanni told the story. I found my grandmother's old furs that, couldn't be worn and really didn't have a fashionable value at anymore, and figured out that it could be helpful to them as bedding to rehabilitate animals. So I donated that and support their gala and things like that. I was excited to win one of their raffle prizes recently, but that's not why I contributed. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lauren. So I know we're getting close to the end of the workshop, and we are losing a couple of people because it is almost 1 o'clock. So hopefully some of you can join us on the Kahoot game so that we can quiz you on what you learned today and give you prizes. So please go ahead to the URL, kahoot.it, and enter the PIN. And it'll then ask you to put in your nickname, and we'll get started. I'll give everyone another minute to join.
And guys, I promise that at some point we'll be giving you guys away the prizes. Right now, City Hall is kind of like, we are operating on COVID, so we are not allowing folks to come in so we can give the prizes, but hopefully soon the things are going out, right? Let's keep the good vibes. We'll be able to, we keep everything very organized. So we know all the past winners, and we promise awards will be giving. So
yes,
join Kahoot. It's real. Awards will come one day.
All right, so I guess we can get started. And then just make sure that if you are a winner, to email me. I'll put my email in the chat afterwards. All right, so we'll get started. Can you hear the music?
Yep. Oh, good. We can start, Yanni.
What is the most important consideration while handling a raptor? That's correct. It's talons. All right, next question. We have, Joey77 at the top. All right. Which is not a way to help prevent bird window strikes? That's correct. Leaving the window slightly open is not a good option. So make sure you look into those stickers that Pelican Harbor has on their website. Joey is still at the top, followed by Celia Maria. Next question, true or false? Gently petting an injured wild animal will help to keep it clean.
Like the quick answer.
Everyone got it right. Wow.
Yay!
Joey's still winning. And last question, true or false? An injured wild animal should be offered a small amount of food and a dish of water. That's correct. Everyone got that one right too. Awesome. So let's see who's the winner. Gigi, Evelyn, Keely Maria, and Joey. Awesome. I'll stop sharing this. I'm going to go ahead and put in my email in the chat so you guys can reach out to me, and we'll add you to the list to make sure you get your gifts.
Awesome. And Yanni, I'm trying to share my screen here. Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys see the slides?
Yes.
I don't know why I cannot see the slides. But anyways, we'll try this. My computer is going crazy today. All right. Am I in the master plan slide now? Did I make it?
Yes, you are. You know you
All right.
are.
So before we wrap up, guys, I wanted to make sure you guys are aware the city has its first urban forestry master plan that was adopted last year. It's a plan that has been highly recognized. We have several cities and counties reaching out to Miami Beach because it was a very outstanding plan. It does incorporate resilience into it. So if you guys are interested to know what the city is doing when it comes to tree canopy and learn more about the Urban Forestry Master Plan, please join us on March 2nd at 4 p.m. You can go to our portal, mbrisingabove/trees, so you can have more information about the workshop and register for it. And our amazing urban forester, Oma Leon, will be there talking about the plan. And since we run out of time, I just want to say a big thanks to Hannah and all the Pelican Harbor team that joined us via the chat. Thank you so much again, guys, for all the amazing work you guys are doing. Every time I hear from you guys, it blows my mind. You guys are doing such amazing work. So thank you so much. And I don't know if you have any last words for the crowd joining us today.
No, I'm just so glad for everybody that joined. Really excited to see so much, interaction and interest. And I love all the, conservation and all the planet lovers in Miami.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Hannah.
We appreciate it. And thanks to our team, Alicia, Michelle, Yanni, Amanda. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are rock stars. Without you, we wouldn't make it. I really appreciate all your support. And of course, all of you that have joined us here today. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. Guys, does anybody else want to share any last thoughts, or are we good to go to our love and gratitude?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Right. So, guys, as usual, sending much love and gratitude, and thank you so much again. And we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.